Hello everyone, welcome to round number 5 of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Belgrade, Serbia. And in this round we will feature the game between Rapport and Vidit once again. Rapport wins for the second time against Vidit. And now he's nearing the semifinals. Let's go through the game. Vidit was white. He started with e4. Rapport with his pet French. He likes French fries. Okay, so d4, d5. e5, we have the advanced variation of the French defense. Rapport went for c5, central break. c3, grip. Right, the c3 pawn protects the important d4 square, queen b6. Okay, eyeing that d4 square, knight f3, bishop d7. Again, important note here is that if black plays knight c6, for example, the trick here is that if you play knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, right, bishop check. Yep. So it was important to play bishop d7 first to avoid that bishop d3 to b5. Yep. So bishop e2, c takes d4, c takes d4, bishop b5, exchanging the light square bishop. Takes on b5, takes on b5. Black has this idea of playing knight c6 to b4, that's d3 square. It's also restricting white to castle. Knight c3, queen a6, again taking away this a6 to f1 diagonal. White cannot castle. a4 threatening knight b5, closing the light square, bishop b4. Okay, no knight b5 please. Bishop into d2, captured knight, no knight b5. Takes on c3, knight e7. Rapport likes his knights, yes. Two knights tango. Before I let you go, b4 threatening b5, restricting the queen. Queen goes inside. Keeping an eye on this light square. Rook c1, knight c6. Maybe a slight mistake for black here. And here Vidit went for bishop d2, understandable, discovered attack on the queen. But there was a stronger option here for Vidit with knight d2. Although it's very hard to find, yes, knight d2. After queen d3, and this is the point of knight d2, yeah, h4. Because if Rapport takes the pawn, he loses the knight on d4 with this rook lift on h3. Right, so with this one, rook h3 coming up, the queen has to find a square. Let's say, for example, queen goes to g3, and queen g6 just castles. And if black castles here, now b5, right? No more knight a5, bad knight, knight b8 to, let's say, knight b8 to knight d7, for example. Bishop b4 pins, yeah. Rook a8, just take. Bad for black. And if the knight goes back to d8, for example, h5. Queen has no better square than d3 once again, then bishop b4, threatening the knight. If you go rook e8, rook on the 7th rank. Okay, you can go knight f5, then knight to b3, forcing the exchange of the queen, protecting d4. You take on b1, take on b1. The knight on d8 is so bad. Yes, g4 is coming. Where is the knight going, right? Let's say knight h4, king h2, king g3. Winning for white. The control of the c file, the 7th rank. Yeah. Vidit probably regrets playing bishop d2 here, because that was maybe that was the decisive mistake. The wrong plan with bishop d2. Knight was better. Yeah. With bishop d2, queen d3, this is different. Queen e2 has to be played. Now, if you play, okay, let's say bishop c3, trying to protect back, now takes on d1, king takes d1, and black should be all right with a move like a6, king e2, b5, right, with these two knights protecting each other. close position, it favors the knight. Okay, so queen e2, queen into a3, keeping the queen on the board, threatening a4 and b4. Castles, knight f5, the two knights hitting the d4 pawn. Bishop c3, the queen looks dangerous on a3, right? Could it be trapped? Rapport was said, okay, no. Rapport says no. Okay, this provocation is just too good for black. Yeah, it weakens the king side. Actually, Rapport can capture here knight c takes d4. Oh, sorry, knight c, not knight f, but knight c takes d4 was available here. Takes on d4, for example, rook takes c1. Okay, so g4, knight f e7, bishop d2, h5. That's the problem with g4. No. Black has h5 undermining that g4 pawn. White's king is problematic. Okay, now pawn takes on h5, queen takes a4, majority on the queen side. Okay, one, queen c2, pin. b5, knight e8, temporary retreat. fc1, queen f5, the knight on e7 protects c8, it will protect a7 as well. So rook c8, rook takes c8, protects the pawn. These pawns can be lethal in the endgame. So after rook c1, knight e7 back. Okay, so rook c7, rook takes h5. Again, king's safety for white. Bishop into b4, knight in g6, threatening knight f4. Yes. Queen h3, g2. Yeah, we can just go back to, well, h6 and rook g6. Although knight f4 at the moment is not possible because of rook e7. Okay, an important bishop on b4. b6 threatening queen b5. Queen b1 check. Yep. You cannot go king g2 as I said because there's knight f4. Yep. Queen e1, queen takes e1, up a pawn. That's decisive. Knight into c2, rook h3. Activating the rook on the third rank, either b3 or d3. This could be a potential target, the d4 pawn. Bishop into d6, knight c6. Again, the target, the d4 pawn, that backward pawn on d4. Rook takes b7, rook c3, hitting the defender of the d4 pawn. Knight into e3, knight h4. Threatening mate on c1. King f1, rook to b3, protecting b6. d4 is always there. Knight c2, rook to b2, hitting the defender once again while protecting b6. Nice one by Rapport. Knight into a3, knight f5. Alright, two knights eyeing d4. The pawn is mine according to Rapport. Two pawns up. Look at these pawns. Very bad. h4, knight f5 back. Bishop d6, rook to b3, hitting the knight once again. Knight c2, pass pawn must be pushed. The central pass pawn. d3, d2, d1. King e1 takes on h4. 5 for 2. Oh my god. Picking apples. f4. Knight f3 check. King f2. What a shot. Knight f6 e5. Lonely pawn. Alright, the pin. That was the point of knight e5. Pin on the second rank. 5 for 1. Too much. Too much. Massive pawn phalanx. Yeah. King f3, rook takes c2, rook takes b6, rook c3 check. f6, alright, that pawn is gone. 3 for nothing. OMG, rook b7, no threat, the knight's protecting e7. Rook c4, idea would be d3, discovered attack. and then d2. Yes. For example, you play rook c7, d3. If you play king e3, d2. Because if you take d2, rook d4, and rook takes d6. Right. Okay, so after rook c4, bishop has to go back to a3. Rook a4, hitting the bishop. Rook a7, nice move. Allowing the king to activate, yes, control of the 7th. King d7, active king. King e4, f5. Now the pawns can move forward. King d3, e5. You make sure that the king is near the pawns. King c4, king d6, king up. Bishop d2, rook a2, attacking the bishop. Bishop b4, rook is almost trapped with king c7. If you move back to b5, rook a4, pin, game over. Because if you play king b3, just exchange, right? Takes and takes. And then just d3, e4. Oh my god, too much. So bishop c5, rook into c2, king d5, knight e7 check, nice one. The bishop cannot take the knight, the king will take the rook. And here, white resigned. Rapport was just too good. Winning again with his favorite French defense. Yeah, the French once again. Bonjour, buongiorno. Okay, with that win, Rapport leads Group C with 3.5. Vidit still at second place with 2.5. And tomorrow will be the last game, round number 6. Vidit needs to win, and Rapport has to lose for Vidit to have a chance to go into the tiebreaks. But if Rapport draws his game tomorrow, Rapport qualifies to the semifinals. And qualifying to the semifinals, at least he will earn a chance to get that important slot in the candidates. Alright, so that was it for round number 5. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting Charles Smash Chess and Charles Smash Entertainment on our Facebook and YouTube channel. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.